All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name's Mike Catalfamo. I'm the technical sales engineer here at eBridge Software. I want to thank you for joining me today. If some of you are returning from the same webinar earlier this week where we had some audio difficulties, thank you for coming back. Otherwise, welcome if you didn't join us the first time. Today I want to take you through the integration solution we have for Salesforce.com and talk about our new touch points and what new and exciting things we're doing with Salesforce.com. Essentially what I'm going to do today is go through a very brief introduction on eBridge. I know many of you are existing eBridge customers already or are otherwise familiar with eBridge, so I won't spend too much time on that. Then we're going to do a quick product demonstration showing what will be a closed-won opportunity in Salesforce, and we're going to follow that through the integration solution and into, today we're going to use Dynamics GP. And then, of course, we're going to look at some of the touch points in a little bit of detail and talk about what we have that's new since we last discussed our Salesforce integration, and then we'll have some time for some Q&A at the end. My goal is to keep this pretty short, pretty quick, 30 minutes max with questions, and then if there's something that we didn't cover or that we need to go into a little more detail on, we'll have some contact information at the end so that we can work together one-on-one to address your specific questions or discuss your Salesforce needs. So, very briefly, eBridge Connections has been in business since 1993, providing integration solutions to close to 40 accounting and ERP systems. We started off doing EDI integration, and over the past 5 or 6 years or so, we've been able to branch out and provide connections to other types of marketplaces like web stores, the likes of Amazon and eBay, and of course CRM applications, with Salesforce being a quite popular connector. All we do is integration. We don't get involved in scoping and deploying Salesforce itself, nor do we do that on the eBridge side, the accounting side. Our goal is to automate and integrate the data going between the systems and not change your existing business workflow. We have a staff of about 45 experts in-house that handle everything. So if you need to customize something on the accounting or ERP side, we can accommodate those particular changes that you might have made to your ERP database. Of course, over the years, we've been providing expertise in a wide variety of industries, a wide variety of business models, and back office workflows. So, we have the tools and we have the expertise in-house to help connect just about any type of business that you might be running. And we're progressively moving to a more hosted solution. So right now, the eBridge solution has a couple of components to it. There's a hosted component on our servers here, and there's a piece of software that gets installed on your side next to your accounting and ERP system, and we're moving more and more functionality to the cloud so that you have less overhead and less complexity on your side to maintain the integration solution, so that eventually we're going to have a purely on-demand solution where you can configure everything and work with the solution just through a web page, and there'll be no on-premise software. That said, we have actually moved to that model for a number of our accounting system versions, and if you're interested, we could let you know what those are that we have today, and we're, as the versions get upgraded and we move to newer versions, we're going to be moving those new versions to that model. And it's simpler, and it's actually overall it's a better experience for everybody. All right, this is just a brief visual representation of the types of ERP packages and accounting packages we can connect to. This is just a few of the more popular ones, and you will want to visit our website to see a more comprehensive list. At the end of the presentation, we'll have some contact information, and on that slide we'll have a link that will allow you to actually build your integration solution. So we can set up all of the arrows moving back and forth between Salesforce and your specific accounting system and version. This is a little bit more detailed picture of the previous slide showing the components that are in play. On the far left side, of course, we have all of the external entities. Today, of course, we're focusing on Salesforce. We have eBridge ePortal as being the main interface with Salesforce. So within ePortal, we have all of the Salesforce-specific communication requirements. So in other words, we're doing web services calls out to Salesforce, and we have coded into ePortal data transformations or data mappings that are specific to the Salesforce schema or the Salesforce API, if you will. ePortal will transform that data and make it available to the back office system, where we will push and pull data with whatever accounting or ERP system you're using. So at this point, I would like to take you into ePortal and Salesforce to show you a couple of transactions in both systems, and we'll follow one of them through and into Dynamics GP. And as I said, after that, we'll look at the actual individual touch points that we have on the table as of today. Okay, so I'm logged into Salesforce here, and we have two opportunities. We're going to focus on this first one here. However, both of them do exist in our eBridge ePortal solution. I brought these through into ePortal previously so that we didn't have to kind of create them on the fly and then wait for ePortal to pick them up. We communicate with Salesforce approximately every 10 minutes or so to check for new transactions. And if we click through and look at some of the details, we'll see the opportunity name, which is the key field that we use. This could amount to what you would think of as the order number or the order reference. And that is a field that we preserve throughout the process and ultimately reflect back into the accounting and ERP system. You can see that we have a description here that says this is a great op, and the opportunity stage is closed won. That actually happens to be a trigger that we use on ePortal to identify new transactions. So we can actually pull any opportunity stage that you set up in your ePortal account. Closed won happens to be one that is used quite frequently, if not exclusively, to identify opportunities that should be pulled through as an order. And between that and the last modified date on the opportunity, we will see any new opportunities with a closed won stage or any other stage that you define in your ePortal setup. We also have a couple of items. We have a BlackBerry Bold with a quantity of 2 and a unit price of $12. And we have an iPhone with a quantity of 8 and a unit price of $32. So let's just kind of take a mental note of a couple of these pieces of information, because as we move to ePortal, which is accessible through our corporate homepage, we're going to click on the Transactions menu item. And we're going to see the two Salesforce transactions that we just saw in Salesforce itself. So we're going to focus on this opportunity, one here, Jack 1, and you can see that we have data from a number of different sources all in one mailbox. And I won't get into the ePortal architecture too much at this stage, but there are some very nice and unique benefits to the solution, and I'd love to go over that in a little bit more detail, kind of one-on-one. But for now, let's just focus on what the Salesforce connector does. So we're going to click on the opportunity name. When we do that, we can see some details about this particular transaction. Now, there's a number of other fields that we see here that probably aren't very useful because they're Salesforce database fields. But as we scroll through this, we'll see the same information that we saw in Salesforce earlier. So we have our iPhone with a quantity of 8 and a unit price of $32, and our BlackBerry with a quantity of 2 and a unit price of $12. We have our note that says this is a great op. And so all of this information is available to bring through and post into the accounting system. So as I said, ePortal will communicate with your Salesforce account every 10 minutes or so, check for new data, bring it through the integration solution, and then expose it to the accounting or ERP side. So as I said, I've queued up this particular transaction, and what we're going to do now is head over to an environment where we have an accounting system running, and we're going to manually post this transaction into Dynamics GP. So imagine now that we're on a system on your side. Usually we put this application on a server, but it doesn't necessarily need to be a server. We can get into some of the technical requirements later, but I think a lot of you probably already have this eBridge component installed on your side. And so in that instance, we wouldn't need to do anything different to add Salesforce to your solution than we already have set up today. And if you're already running your data through ePortal, then all we need to do is tweak the on-premise mapping a little bit to accommodate the Salesforce-specific information because you may want your Salesforce data to look a particular way in your accounting system that might be different than what you already have for EDI or WebStore or some other connector you might be running with us already. So here we have Dynamics GP and we have the Bridge application, and the main workflow here when we're running this manually is under the inbound run, and we're going to just click the start button. Of course, when we deploy this live, we expect that you will want these orders to pop into your accounting system automatically, in which case we would just set the inbound process to run on a schedule, so that maybe every 20 minutes, every hour, we check for new closed won opportunities, and we will bring them through and into your accounting system. At the end of every import and export routine, we store a copy of the results of what happened during that transaction, and we store a copy of that in this log file that we keep a history of, and this is all stored so you can go back historically and see the data import and export routines, and you can investigate anything as necessary. But for now, we're just going to focus on this particular transaction. You can see here that we have some pricing validation actions happening here. So we're comparing the GP price or the accounting price with the inbound price, the price coming in from Salesforce, and we're actually using the Salesforce price. So you can see that for this particular item, Dynamics GP has the unit price of $200, but we're actually using the imported price of $32 coming from Salesforce. We can turn these messages off if you like, or we can prevent the order from posting if they need to match identically. So that's just a setup consideration. What we're most interested in is that we've created a new transaction in the accounting system. So we're using the next sequential document number to post this order. ORDST2231 is the GP generated sales order number. We are reporting back the customer that this is posting against. And we also have recorded the order number, which happens to be the opportunity name coming from Salesforce. So all of that is stored in the log file here. If you're not familiar with this, this log file or our solution, we expect that you'll work exclusively out of Salesforce and out of your accounting system, and we can email this report to you either every time the process runs or only if there's some type of problem such as a warning or error in the log file. And that way you can just deal with it on an exception basis. So very briefly, we're going to jump over to Dynamics GP, and we will have a look at this particular transaction. and this posted as an order, so we will change that to order. And we will step back one record. And now we see some of the same details that we saw originating directly from Salesforce. So we have used the opportunity name and put that in as the customer PO number. Certainly we can put that customer PO number in one of the user-defined fields instead, or we can do really whatever you want with the data to make it look the way it should, as if you had manually keyed it directly into your accounting system. You can see that we have our two items, quantity of 8 and 2 respectively, unit price of 32 and 12. And since we're using the Dynamics GP SKU number, if we expand the line item description, you can see that we have our iPhone and we have our BlackBerry Bold. So, I expect that all of you are probably running different accounting and ERP systems. Some of you probably, or most of you probably aren't running Dynamics GP, but we needed to pick a system to use as an example. And I will say that the workflow is identical whether we're working with QuickBooks or Mass 500 or Dynamics GP or any of the solutions. The goal for us is to get the data moving between Salesforce and your back office system and automate that in a way that makes sense to your daily operations and how you do things currently, instead of asking you to change to match what the integration solution does. So at this point, you would fulfill the order within your back office system. If we needed to send some information back to Salesforce, we would do so based on certain things like tracking numbers, or maybe there's some other updates that need to be sent back to Salesforce. And what that information is and where it comes from in your ERP system and where it goes in Salesforce really defines what the project looks like. So everybody does things a little differently, and that's where we work with you to understand what the data flow needs to look like, and we work with you to make sure that all of that is functioning exactly the way you need it to. So that at a very high level, kind of demonstrates opportunities coming from Salesforce down to through ePortal and ultimately into your back office system. And what we would want to do with you is understand the big picture of how you're using Salesforce and how we need to configure the solution. And of course, we would set it up and test it with you and make sure that it met your requirements. Let's go back to the slide deck, and we'll actually look now at the touch points that we can currently offer. And certainly, we want to continue expanding our Salesforce offering. So if there's something that you need, or there's something unique that you're doing in Salesforce, let us know, and we're happy to add those touch points to this solution. So right now, let's actually start at the bottom. Right now we have opportunities out of Salesforce. And when I say related info, that means that we can pull along with the opportunity anything that's related to that Salesforce object. So we'll pull through the contact information and account information and product information. Anything that's on the opportunity will come along for the ride when we pull that closed opportunity down through ePortal. Some of the newer touch points relate to the things going back to Salesforce. So we can now offer the ability to create an opportunity in Salesforce, and that scenario involves perhaps creating something in your accounting or ERP system. It could be a quote, it could be an actual order, and then we need to essentially create that same transaction back out on Salesforce, perhaps giving visibility to your mobile sales team so that they can see that that particular order has been processed. But we can also update an opportunity from the ERP system going back to Salesforce. Again, if as that order is processed in the back office, we might need to update details on the opportunity. Perhaps we're sending tracking numbers back, or we're sending maybe a commission dollar amount that lives in the ERP system back so the salesperson knows that knows what they're being spiffed on. We can also do account creation and updates, as well as product creation and associate that with a Pricebook entry, and we can update product quantities as well. So these are all standard Salesforce objects that we have connectors for today. Most importantly, though, at least in my opinion, are the two footnotes at the bottom of the screen here, which indicate that we can work with custom fields within Salesforce that relate to one of these objects that we have an integration with. And we can also support entirely custom objects that are related to these standard objects above. So what that means is if you create a new Salesforce object, perhaps maybe it's called invoices, or here at eBridge we actually use Salesforce internally, and we have something that's called services that is a child of the opportunity. We can work with that custom object because it's linked to the opportunity. Or it's related to the opportunity. So opportunity is kind of like our gateway into Salesforce, and then we can update anything that's associated with it, including any custom objects or custom fields that relate to that. So that's actually pretty exciting because it means that it really opens up a large portion of the Salesforce functionality to you and to us, and really the sky's the limit there, because if you use Salesforce today, you almost certainly have customized some fields, and there's a very good chance you've created entire objects or entire layers that don't exist natively in the Salesforce kind of vanilla solution. So at this point, I'd like to open it up to any questions. Again, this is meant to be an overview for you so that you can understand where we are with our Salesforce development and our connector. And certainly, we would love to speak with you one-on-one to discuss your specific implementation and your solution that you might be considering for Salesforce. Okay. There aren't any questions yet, so I'm going to mention a few ways to contact us, of course, through our marketing email, marketing@ebridgeconnections.com. At the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned a way where you can actually build your integration solution, and you can get at that from eBridgeConnections.com/blueprint, and there you can actually select and check off the particular touch points and the direction that you need them. I will say that we're in the process of updating the blueprint with all of the touch points that we just discussed. So don't be alarmed if you don't see all the touch points yet. They should be updated by early next week at the latest. And in the meantime, you can reach out to us and we can talk about your specific situation. All right. Well, it doesn't seem that there's any questions, so either I did a really good job covering everything, or I've lost you completely. In either case, we'd love to hear from you, and I want to be mindful of the time. So at this point, I think I'm going to wrap things up, and I want to thank you for your time today. And again, feel free to reach out. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks, everyone, and we look forward to hearing from you soon.